After the assassination of Charlie Kirk, clearly people showed up everywhere. I mean, churches across the land. But of course, where you wanted to find out what happened is at TPUSA headquarters in Arizona. Our really good friend, Allie Bradley, she's the Southwest reporter from NewsNation, joins us now. You were there, Allie. First of all, how are you? It's good to see you. It's been a while.
Hey, Pags, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me on. A lot to talk about. There's never a
Yeah.
dull moment, whether it's the border or talking about someone who, of course, lost their life because of essentially because of political violence.
Yeah, no, exactly right. I know that you're usually based in Texas. You spend a lot of time in, I think, the Yuma district in Arizona when it comes to the border crossings. Did you happen to be in Arizona? Did News Nation say go to TPUSA? How did you end up going?
Yeah, so I was actually in Chicago for only 24 hours
Oh, wow.
and got the call to head to Arizona, in part because I used to live in Phoenix. I covered the border in Arizona for well over a year for News Nation. And there was also a tie to the border with Charlie Kirk, Pegs, because Charlie Kirk and I had met via Twitter well over a year ago in February of 2024 when he actually asked me to be on his show. I was not able to make that happen. However,
Right.
we stayed in communication and he was sharing border related stories that I would do and shared News Nation's coverage very regularly. So was very supportive in elevating that work. And so it made sense as to why I would be going to the TPUSA headquarters in Phoenix. Of course, the original one was in Lamont, Illinois, which is where he's from. And
Right.
then they created this headquarter in Phoenix where he then lived with his wife, Erica, of course, their kids. And so that is where the headquarters became. And gosh, Pags, we were out there the morning after that tragic shooting, and we saw hundreds of people pouring in and leaving flowers, leaving letters directed specifically for Erica and their family.
Wow.
And a lot of what we saw was hinged on faith, was something that I believe Charlie Kirk would have wanted to see, because in one of his final interviews, he was asked what he wanted to be remembered for, because we all are going to die someday, right?
Right.
So it wasn't anything loaded. It was just, what do you want to be remembered for when we go? And he said he wanted to be remembered in his courage and his faith. And we saw that in spades, right? We saw so many people uniting in prayer, uniting through faith because of Charlie's tragedy.
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of scriptures, a lot of Bible verses. The one that stuck out to me the most and the one that hit me to my core just as a human was seeing the well done, good and faithful
Yes.
servant from Matthew. And that one was something that it elicited a response from me as a Christian, but also as a human. It brought me to tears reading that. And I actually had a little bit of a hard time getting through my live shot that day because of what we were seeing. We were seeing people drop to their knees crying. We were seeing little kids dropping off handwritten notes with their handprints on it.
Right.
And these little girls dressed in American flag dresses there, to honor the memory of Charlie. And the families were telling us that Charlie was instrumental in how they raised their kids and how they were raising their kids. And that's why they thought it was so important for their kids to be out there and to be able to pay their respects too, because a lot of their foundation in their home was based off of faith and was based off a lot of the things that Charlie Kirk had talked about. And so that memorial grew to two parts of the sidewalk to an entire, almost the equivalent of a city block. So people definitely showed up. They wanted to peacefully honor him. Again, there was no violence. There were a couple cars that drove by
Yeah.
that shouted at the media, said it was all our fault, said, you're the ones responsible for this.
That's
You're to
stupid.
blame. There was one instance where people drove through and were trying to kind of rile up the crowd and create problems. Water bottles were thrown. Then there was another incident where someone was actually arrested because they vandalized the memorial. And so that is, the reality down there in Phoenix. But and to give you a kind of paint the picture of where that headquarters is, it's in a resort community. And in order to get there, you have to be there on purpose. You did
Right.
not find that street on accident. You went there, and if you did not go there with good intentions, your intentions were bad, right?
Yeah.
And that was that individual who vandalized that memorial. He didn't just come across a Charlie Kirk memorial and threw some water at it or did something. He
Right.
went out of his way cause a problem down there. And I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. That's really sad to
It is.
see, and to see someone go out of their way like that. Because again, I mean, it's on a private, basically a private area. Like, you have to go pretty far out of your way in order to end up at that memorial. It had to be on purpose. And so that was hard to see, the hecklers, the people coming through, creating any kinds of problems. And everyone kind of looked around and was like, not the time, man. Like,
Yeah.
read the room. You know, no one's doing that. No one's
Right.
acting like that. And that is what a lot of people said Charlie would have wanted, is for that peaceful kind of reaction.
Yeah, and you showed that very well in your reporting. Yeah, the guy got arrested very quickly. I think somebody actually pushed him down when he did that. He was kicking things over, just an idiot. And I'm glad that you sort of set the stage. You can't just be there. You had to go there to do something like that. You mentioned something though, and by the way, it's at Allie Bradley TV. Go follow her everywhere. You mentioned something that jumped out at me. There are young people that he probably didn't know that he touched, and then maybe the parents of the high school and college age people, I think they're reacting as well. And I don't know that Charlie realized the impact that he had on entire families. He knew that he had an impact on the college age or the high school age student. We know that Gen Z voted, and a lot of them voted to the right and conservative for President Trump because of Charlie Kirk and his push. But there's no way he knew that it would be this gigantic movement turning into a revolution. Did anybody sort of opine about that as you talked to them at TPUSA?
Well, I actually had a chance to talk with his business partner, Drew, who's actually the director for Turning Point USA. And we were talking specifically about that. And we both said, because someone had told me, and this stuck out to me, and I asked him, I said, does this track with what you knew about Charlie?
Right.
These people told me, Joe, they said, if he would have known the impact he was going to make, he would have said, and this from the Bible as well, here I am, God, send me. Right?
Wow.
And if
Yeah.
he had known that, and his business partner said 100% that is who Charlie was, if he knew the impact he would have had, like we're seeing, he would have willingly given himself up to the Lord because of that reward, seeing how many people have come to Christ or have reignited their faith because of this. And I'm going to tell you a story of a woman that I met there. I'm not going to put her name in there because it's very personal.
Okay.
But she's in recovery from alcohol and from marijuana addiction. And she was like, I'm done. I'm sober now. She's like, she came there on the first day. She had her worn Bible. It was very tattered. She said, Charlie is one of the reasons. I'm a single mom. I have 2 kids. And he was in my home. He was there helping me guide my kids because I didn't have a father in my home. I didn't have a male figure in my home. She came back the next day and said, I threw everything away. I am sober for the first time in years. I believe God has a bigger calling for me. Sorry.
That's amazing.
I believe there's more for me,
Yeah.
more for me. God has more for me, and that's not it. And now her and I are doing a Bible study together.
Oh, wow.
So a lot.
How beautiful is that?
It's pretty awesome. And I really hope and
Allie,
pray for her.
thank you for being raw and telling us the story. Let me add to what you're saying, and because I love your voice, and the fact that it's cracking is amazing, but I definitely want you to be in full voice. Because I want to ask you this. Do you think this was just a political thing? Or was this also a religious thing? And it sounds like a loaded question. It's not. Charlie Kirk, without even realizing it, was sort of today's Christian leader that was in the fore for young people that had no idea about Christianity and the Judeo-Christian value system that we live upon here. Because to me, it was a political assassination, certainly, but it was also a religious persecution by people who were afraid that he was spreading the good word.
Well, and that's the thing, as I was even talking to my mom about it, and we kind of said he was also killed for his beliefs, and when what he's talking about are all things that are Christian values, that are, whether you agree with it or not, he talked openly about abortion and not standing for that. And that's something that in the Christian faith that we stand behind, right? There in
Right.
Catholic faith. And he talked about these different ideologies that did not line up with Christianity. And so to completely dismiss that he was killed for believing the Bible would be, I think that would be negligent of us.
Yes,
I think
I
that
agree.
there is definitely a piece of that he stood on his courage and convictions and his faith, and that is part of the reason why he is no longer with us.
It is Allie Bradley. Go to Allie Bradley TV. Great Southwest reporter for News Nation and great friend of ours. Follow her everywhere. Go and retweet and repost everything that she does. I try to do that the best I can. I want to get into why you're in Chicago in a second, but let me finish with this. From what you were seeing from Ground Zero, the nucleus of TPUSA, did they realize immediately that it went from like 1,900 chapters to 37,000 new chapter requests? I mean, did that outpouring, did it become evident? Was it an electric sort of feeling to be there, knowing that there was something growing from where you were standing that won't be able to be stopped by outside sources?
Yeah, and that really came in silence. As weird as that sounds, it really came when we were looking around and we were seeing young people on their knees on the pavement praying.
Right.
It really came in the tears of grown men saying they wanted change, that they wanted to be part of that change. It came in the tears of his business partner, saying, bro, you had no idea how big this was going to be. You had no idea.
Yeah.
And that's exactly right. I don't think any of us understood the magnitude and the reach that he really had and what this would do. But now there's no stopping it, right? They like his wife said, they're only going to be louder and stronger now.
Right.
And we're seeing that with with the campus support across the nation.
It's Allie Bradley. Go check her out on News Nation. Go follow her everywhere at Allie Bradley TV. Great follow over on Instagram. You put a lot of your personal stuff on there, which makes me smile all the time. You look like you had a great, last few days you were somewhere. But go check her out on X as well, because the reports are just dynamite. By far, in my opinion, the best Southwest reporter, the border reporter you're going to get. But now you're the Southwest and the border reporter. You're the illegal immigration reporter or the immigration reporter. But you're in Chicago. What the hell are you doing in Chicago?
Yeah, so DHS actually unleashed Operation Midway Blitz this week. Secretary Noem is actually on the ground. She went out with Border Patrol earlier today, where it was a pretty explosive apprehension. They had to breach the door. They had BORTAC there. They had the kind of SWAT vehicles out with them. They arrested 2 targets that I know of. Which again, this is targeted enforcement. This was not a Home Depot sweep. This was 2 individuals who they knew had criminal convictions, who they were going after. I believe it was a warrant service. And so she was out with them, really kicking off this Blitz, Operation Midway Blitz. Now we have DEA, ATF, you have ICE, ERO. You now have CBP officially involved in Operation Midway Blitz as well here in Chicago. So we were actually out with ICE just moments ago. I can't share a lot of the details about what we witnessed because we're going to be sharing that on News Nation. So I hope you guys tune in. But we were there as a target was apprehended. This man did not want to come out of his home. He actually had an ankle monitor. So we knew he was in the home, but he did not want to come out. The wife actually had to help coax him to come out so that he didn't get a kind of another charge against him. And just an interesting morning, an interesting case. But I think the most important thing that people really need to understand is that ICE is really focused on targeted enforcement right now. And what does that mean? A targeted enforcement operation is going after someone who they know has a criminal conviction. They spend a day, maybe 3, maybe 5 on that individual. They will look and they will kind of map the lifestyle. So they will watch and see what cars they drive, who lives at that home, what is their schedule. These are not just easy grab off the street guys. They have to wait till they come out. They have to wait until they have actual proof of life that that individual is there. So these are hard targets to get. I mean, we sat on this one. They thought it was going to be a pretty easy one. We got up at 4 a.m. We met up with the crews at 6, and they thought it was going to be quick. They didn't get the guy until around 11 a.m.
Oh, wow.
And so you're going to sit on these guys for hours. So a lot of people are wondering, why don't they have these mass numbers? Why don't they have these mass numbers? Well, you have to remember, when Biden was in office, hundreds of thousands of people poured across the border. They could literally grab them and send them back because if they came from any part of the Northern Triangle, they were pretty removable. That's not the case anymore. Those 11 million people are in the United States somewhere, and now they have to go find them, and they have to actually have a reason to get them out of their home or whatever it might be. And so these are targets. Again, these are not random one-offs. These are individuals who have criminal convictions. The guy that we had today had 5 different infractions against him stacked up. Another one that we were sitting on today was Trende Aragua. We did not get him. So they're going to go back and hopefully get him. But that's the reality. So that Tren de Aragua guy is still walking around somewhere.
Crazy.
Right?
It's Allie
And
Bradley.
so
She's in
that's the reality
Chicago.
that they're up against.
No, and I appreciate that. Before we run out of time, I think it bears mentioning, and I can't wait to see the reports tomorrow. Go check it out on NewsNation tomorrow. It bears mentioning that I think you told me, certainly Tom Homey told me, that none of this would be necessary if the city of Chicago cooperated with ICE. If they cooperated and said, the bad guys here will help you, go and get them. You don't have to have the Operation Midway go down. You don't have to have the DHS secretary show up. This is all happening because it's a sanctuary city in a state that's run by a guy in Pritzker that is never going to help. Brandon Johnson, the mayor, said, we're never, ever going to have Chicago cops helping out. So now you have to go in and do what they're doing. I mean, that's true, right, Allie? They don't have to do this if the municipality just cooperates.
Right. For everybody to know, ICE is operating across the United States and always has. They have to do these kinds of operations because people are being arrested and then released without the detainer being honored, things like that. ICE isn't getting the call when they have a subject that is ready for removal. So
Right.
they are ending up getting collaterals, getting people that they don't have on their targeted list because they end up in a place and, hey, if they go there after their target and they're living with someone else and that person's here illegally too, they might end up being arrested as well. But
Right.
something to note here, you brought up Pritzker. He actually has not contacted Gregory Bovino whatsoever. Gregory Bovino was the Operation at-large commander, and now he's working under Operation Midway Blitz as well. But the reality is, Pritzker has called him out by name now several times, even mocked him, saying that he's a wannabe reality TV star. And he has not once reached out to him to ask him for a conversation or ask him what's going on. And I asked Chief Bovino, I said, are you willing to talk to him? He said, I'm willing to have a conversation with anybody, but just like Newsom, he's not interested in talking to us. And so they have had no conversations despite Bovino's role on the ground. And despite being mocked by Pritzker, he has not once reached out to him to actually have a conversation with him.
Not surprised. It's Allie Bradley. Go to Allie Bradley TV on all the social media sites. Check out this NewsNation report tomorrow. I can't wait to see it. And Allie, thanks for giving us a perspective from what you saw in Phoenix. And be safe in Chicago.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Oh, and if you want to know the arm that's in there, this is Nick Mitrovich. He's my producer. He's
What's
the
going
producer
on?
for the day.
Great interview. You guys are great.
Thank you.
I don't want to. There's an arm there. So, hey, just so y'all know.
We had to say who that was, yeah.
At all times. So thank you guys for bearing with us, and thank you
you're
for
the best.
shaky camera shenanigan for
No,
dealing
it's good to
with me.
see. It's good to see you both. Stay safe, Allie. We'll talk to you very soon. Thank you.
Well,
right.
have a blessed day.
God bless
All right,
you.
take care. All right, bye-bye. We're back after this in the Joe Pags Show. Stay here.